teasing ball towards Dwight York. Into Andy Cole, let it run. Paul Scholes!
Flicked on an ace. To Beckham, to Andy Cole. That's number 2.
Beckham's corner. Sheringham!
Giggs.
I was just going to say
Giggs.
Cole.
Hat-trick for Cole.
It's Dwight York with a chance to bury Eindhoven here. York! Yes! Game, set and match.
Match day 2 in the Europa League for Manchester United brings them to the city of justice, The Hague in the Netherlands, the temporary home of AZ Alkmaar. Their roof in their stadium is being repaired, so they've decamped 50 miles to the home of Den Haag of the Eredivisie, and that's where United are playing tonight. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome along to this excellent stadium. It's only 15,000, so it's going to be quite tight, it's going to be quite atmospheric. But in a way, it's not a home game for Alkmaar, because their own home is being repaired, or at least the roof is being repaired, and obviously it's not a home game for Manchester United. But what will make it difficult for the Reds tonight is the pitch, the much discussed pitch, the synthetic surface that nobody at training last night was overly thrilled with, Ben Thornley.
No, they weren't, and it's understandable the reason why. It's very flat, there's not much bounce in it, not much give in it, and I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer himself made reference to the number of pitches that he saw over in Norway. Of course, more suited to being over there because of the weather conditions that they get. Not so much in Holland, and they really do go for great services. But this takes you back to how they were in the 80s and Luton Town and QPR. Really, it's a poor playing surface. But they can't use that as a reason, excuse, whatever you want to talk about it. It is in front of them as a bit of an obstacle. It'll be the same for both sides. Yes, we know that Alkmaar will have had more time to prep on it and to play on it, but they've only had 3 or 4 games on here themselves, so they're not that used to it. And let's have it right, it's got to suit the way Manchester United try and pass the ball on a slick surface like this.
Yeah, they were hoping to water the surface just to make it a little bit easier in terms of passing. This stadium reminds me of, if you remember when United played at Midtjylland a few years ago, it reminds me, it's that sort of stadium, only small, to say 15,000. Just under 1,000 United fans will be here. There would have been many, many more making the short journey over to the Netherlands, but only just under 1,000 tickets. A lot of United fans spending their time in Amsterdam. I don't know why, but spending their time in Amsterdam rather than here in the lovely city of The Hague. But you get, I mean, so many fans come over, don't they, for a game in the Netherlands. It's just a shame it's not a bigger arena.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, but they had some obviously bad news with what happened to their stadium. Den Haag were the first available club that said yes, you can use it. It's a plastic pitch. They don't play on a plastic pitch when they're obviously in their own stadium, but let's hope that these fans that are going to be away to our right tonight make an absolute real racket and drown some of these guys out.
Yeah, well, Ollie wasn't that thrilled with the pitch when I spoke to him last night. He's kind of used to these surfaces from Norway. But after his press conference, just in the tunnel over there to our left, I spoke to him about this game. Ollie, first of all, obviously the pitch is a talking point, and you're well accustomed to plastic pitches in Norway, but this one, I guess you're disappointed by.
Yeah. I can't hide that fact that expected more, expected better. I'm used to AstroTurf pitches from back home in Norway, and there are a couple of levels higher pitches than these. This was below my expectations, but then it is what it is.
The actual impact it could have on the game, though, is it difficult for the players who aren't used to playing every week on those sort of surfaces?
Of course, it will make an impact, because AstroTurf football is different to natural grass football. That's one of the things I've noticed being back home in Norway. Is more than half of our clubs back there use AstroTurf, but they're better than these, miles better than these. And but then again, it is what it is. There's less when you play on AstroTurf. There's less bounces, less excuses, because the ball will get there. Depends if it's wet or not, on how quickly it will get there.
And is that a reason why some of the guys who've got slight knocks or whatever aren't on this trip, because it would be a concern to play with those guys?
Yeah, some players have had issues before on AstroTurf, and I, with my knees creak just when I see AstroTurf pitches like this. But that's in Norway, it's a necessity. You have to play on AstroTurfs, and but we are used to good ones. So hopefully I'm wrong in my first impression, and the boys will be fine.
Quite a few youngsters in this squad. Some played last night for the 23s and impressed. I mean, are you pleased with their development at that level, and can they transfer it to our level?
Yeah, they will be able to transfer it to our level with time given. Of course, Jimmy now has really taken steps as a box-to-box midfielder. I think he's developing all the time. Played 90 last night, so I don't think we'll see him from the start anyway. Let's see how we are tonight. The young boys are getting there, but they're not the ones that we expect are going to run the games. We expect more from or a lot from our experienced players as well. So and it's a nice time for them to, when they play with older men. And last night against Lincoln, it's a good game for them to get ready for men's football.
AZ seem to be a bright young side and have had a really good start to the campaign. Are you expecting a pretty difficult test on Thursday?
Yeah, definitely. They've started the season really well. They've got an exciting young team, lots of technical qualities, pace in the team. They're a young side. The front three, really skillful with pace. There's one, Fredrik Mitsjø, Norwegian midfielder. I had him in a soccer school when he was 13, many years ago. It's a good team, and you can see there's a team with confidence. They've gone into this season, they're flying now, and we'll have a tough game. It's an important game in this group because they had a great result away from home, 2 each with 10 men, and I think they're thinking we can go through here. So if we can get a result tomorrow, it's great.
Finally, on that point, is the idea really to try and qualify as quickly as possible? Because it'll be handy not to have to play, perhaps your strongest sides later on in the competition with the pile-up of fixtures that come when you're playing Thursday.
You want to win games as quick as you can. You want to win the game in front of you, and we want to win the game tomorrow. We're going to give everything we have to get 3 points, and this tournament is a tournament that we want to go far in.
Thanks, Ollie. Cheers.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Pretty strong stuff, I thought, from Ollie, talking about his displeasure about the pitch. But the thing is, you've got to try and forget about it. I mean, now that when the game starts, you've just got to try and do what you can.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be people turning their nose up at the surface, and I completely understand why. But once that is out of the way, you have to get down to the nitty-gritty of obviously preparing your players to play in the game. It isn't going to change. Nothing is going to get in the way of the fact that we are playing on this pitch this evening. Whether you're a fan of 4G pitches or not, even if you were, this is not a great advert for one. But that's what it is, and that is his job now. When they get to the stadium, they've seen the pitch, they need to forget about it and get on with preparing for the game.
He mentioned youngsters there as well, quite a number of them here, including James Garner, who he spoke about very warmly. Did really well when he played on Tuesday, just the night before United came out here. It'd be great to see him involved at some point. I mean, it's a young squad here. It is
a young squad. I was there for the game against Lincoln, and he played extremely well, scored another goal. That's 6 for the season. Also Tahi Chong, who only played 45 minutes, he's probably more likely to get minutes on the pitch tonight, especially with the fact that there are a couple of people that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has seen fit to leave at home. Paul Pogba being one, Aaron Wan-Bissaka still not recovered. We know about Anthony Martial and Luke Shaw, and this pitch gets wet, it'll get slippy, and everybody in the coaching staff and the manager as well is going to hope that all these players get through this game, number one, with a win, and number 2, unscathed.
Yeah, Alkmaar started their campaign by drawing 2-2 at Belgrade. Not a bad record, but they've had a really good start to their season. 15 games in all competitions. They've only lost 1 of them, and they've got the best defensive record in the Dutch league. So it's going to be tough for Manchester United tonight, but also facing United's a big deal for them. It's never happened before in their history.
No, it isn't. It's going to be a huge night for them, and I think that they've got to gain great confidence going into this game because of, number one, how much of an indifferent start Manchester United have had, but what a great start they've had themselves, and whether they like it or not, they will see this pitch as an advantage for them going into the game, coupled with United's form.
Yeah, not sure about the quality of the guy's CD that he's knocking out at the moment, but anyway, we'll continue. We're going to go back to Manchester. Team news is going to be coming pretty soon, but first of all, back to the studio, and we'll say good evening to Jim and friends.
Always surrounded by friends when I come to MUTV, Stuart. Hello, welcome to the studio. The friends that he is talking about, Kevin Moore and Gary McAllister.
Gary McAllister, Jim.
There you go. I gave it you. I had to wake you up.
I wish I had the style of Gary McAllister.
I had to wake you up. You were there slumped, so I thought I'll give you an early McAllister.
Not the first to call me Gary McAllister.
It's just easy just to call him Pally.
Just call me Pally. I'm a big man.
Early McAllister to get you taking notice.
He's Liverpool, Jim.
Let me tell you that all they've been talking about over there is the pitch, and I've heard it compared, Pally, to QPR and Luton, which I can remember, and you guys both played on, and that was early doors, that at the bottom and something laid at the top, and this pitch seems very, very similar.
Yeah, well, I just remember them being awful. The pitches, the bounces on them were horrific. Obviously, you have to change your thinking process because you can't slide tackle because you rip yourself to pieces. You end up with burns and stuff like that. But generally, it's just the way the ball bounces and the way it moves across the pitch. It's something. I mean, they'll have trained on it last night, and that'll be in the first look at it. But yeah, I think it gives them an advantage. That's for sure.
I find it hard to believe that in this day and age it's as bad as what it was in the Luton days. Because then, when it bounced 20 yards over your head almost. You know, so they've improved an awful lot. So I'd be very surprised, Jim, if it's not a lot better than that.
And Ollie saying there, talking to Stuart, his old knees creaked just when he looked at it.
But it doesn't hurt if you're carrying little knocks like joint pain and stuff like that. Playing on them hard surfaces is not conducive to getting through a game. So maybe that's one of the reasons why we've left Paul at home. Yeah. If he's struggled with an ankle or something that he's got at the moment. So it's as you say, in this day and age, you would expect that. I mean, it's 4G technology, is it now with these pitches?
Well, I'm not sure it's even that one. I'm just hearing actually that the team news. David De Gea will be starting in goal. Brandon Williams is starting at left fullback, making his European debut. We'll give you the full team just when we get it. But I'm interested in you guys in the players' mindset on this. I mean, everyone has just been speaking about this surface. They'd be wondering which boots to wear and things like that. I mean, how much of a distraction is it? It
is a distraction, but I think the players have got to be professional here and forget about that. It's the same for both teams. And you must remember, they haven't got a huge advantage here. They've only played on it about 4 or 5 times. Yeah. This is not their home ground. So it's alien to them as well. So it's important for United to think, let's get the ball down on the ground and play football on the ground, because you can't play it in the air.
Yeah, it's about mindset now. It's Ollie's job to just say, look, forget about it. It's too easy to use that as an excuse, isn't it? Don't let the players use that as an excuse. You've got to go in there, you've got to be focused. Say, look, it's not ideal, but you've got to switch on, you've got to be mentally right for this game.
And does it actually change the way you play the game?
Yeah, because you will get different bounces. It does affect your mindset, because it's not a natural pitch. Wherever you go, you're pretty certain of what you're going to be playing on. These kind of things, the run of the ball is different, the bounce of the ball is different. Sometimes it can really zip off these surfaces and fly over your head. So
when the ball is played into you as well, you might be looking to take a touch or two more than you would usually do on a grass pitch, because it kills it dead on the grass pitch, and it's easier to control it then. But whereas on this, it can just fly off you. So you've got to be a little bit more careful.
We go to some wild and wonderful places in the Europa League, don't we? And just looking at the stadium there, 15,000, barely 1,000 United fans in there. It's a very different experience, and for one or two of the young players that are bound to be playing tonight, perhaps something they've not been used to before.
Without a doubt, I think this will give them an advantage more than anything else, because a small pitch like that, you know, that crowd will be really behind AZ here. And I was disappointed that we've only got 1,000. Why is that? It's less than 10%, really. And I don't understand why United shouldn't be accredited with a lot more fans than that.
I think it'll be a good atmosphere, though. I mean, it's still a full house, and I think the noise that they generate will be terrific. It'll make for a good game, hopefully. They're doing all right in the league at the moment.
They're doing very, very well indeed. They beat Feyenoord, managed by Jaap Stam, 3-0 away from home on Friday. They've only lost one in the league. Third place they are at the moment.
Just 1 point behind.
Just behind the top two. And again, listening to Ollie there, and we'll keep an eye on them, because I hope, man, I've not seen them play. They have got some very good young attacking players, and this would be the game of their lives, a real shop window for them.
Yeah, I mean, what a chance to make a name for themselves playing Manchester United with the rich history that we have in European football. You know, to go out and take one of Europe's biggest scalps. What a great incentive. I'm sure the manager's using that for them as well.
Yeah, but no doubt about that. Not only for them, but for the crowd. You know, that 15,000 people there, they think, here's a chance to take United on and beat them. You know, not many Dutch teams get that opportunity. I'm
hearing we're getting dribs and drabs of this. Greenwood is starting. Gomez is in the starting lineup as well. So we're sort of gradually filling in the jigsaw, and we'll give you the full lineup exactly when we get it from Stuart over there in The Hague. What about the Europa League as a competition this season? I mean, is it a distraction? Is it a welcome relief from the Premier League?
Well, I think we could be looking at, this could be, which Mourinho had said as well, our best way of getting into the Champions League next year. You know, because it's one of the way in, but the way the league's situation has started at the moment, this could be our best way in. So we've got to take it serious.
Paddy?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, we got through the Champions League through winning it a couple of seasons back. So yeah, have a go. I think he will make changes. I think he'll look at this group and think we're obviously favourites to go through in it, and we can maybe take a couple of chances. I think he might have done that tonight by what we're hearing from the team. But certainly I wouldn't expect us to get beat at home with any of these sides, and that'd be enough to get us through the next stages.
Okay, I've given you a few clues as to the starting lineup. We can confirm it now by rejoining Stuart in The Hague.
Just here in the tunnel in Den Haag, and the news is that United are making 8 changes from the weekend. The 3 survivors, if you like, from the Arsenal game are David De Gea in goal, plus James and Lindelof. It's a pretty special afternoon for Brandon Williams, 19-year-old, with his full Manchester United debut. He starts at left back today. Came on, of course, against Rochdale a week or so ago, but to start in Europe for Manchester United, pretty special for him. Let's have a look at the lineup. De Gea, who's preferred to Romero, even though he'd be facing his old club, in goal. Back four of Delot, who's now restored from injury. Lindelof and Rocco are the two together at centre-back, with Brandon Williams playing at left-back. Centre of midfield, Matic and Fred, a lot of experience there. Ahead of them, a bit of a movable feast into how they'll line up, but I've gone with James on the right, Mata at number 10, and Gomez on the left, but that might change. Through the middle, Greenwood, the winner against Astana on match day 1. At the bench for Manchester United, Romero, Harry Maguire's on the bench, Axel Tuanzebe, Scott McTominay, Jesse Lingard, Taves Chong and Marcus Rashford. So a bit in reserve should United need it. 8 changes overall. Alkmaar, who are having a brilliant season. 1 defeat from 15 games in all competitions. Mostly a very young, homegrown lineup. The one name you will definitely recognise is that of Ron Vlaar, at 34, by far the oldest player in the side, the former Aston Villa centre-back. He's at the heart of the defence. They're going to play a 4-3-3 and look out for a very pacey, dangerous front three of Stengs, Bodu, who's only 18, and Idrissi. Bodu and Idrissi both have 7 goals apiece. They are a real threat. A 19-year-old Sugawara playing at right back because Svensson is suspended. It's just about as strong a side as they could field. Manchester United, 8 changes, and what a great night ahead for Brandon Williams. Much for you guys in the studio to debate and discuss.
Indeed there is. Thank you very much indeed, Stuart. So ringing the changes once again for the Europa League. A reminder, we got off to a winning start in this competition a couple of weeks back. We'll look back on that later in the show. But Brandon Williams coming in at a left full back, and all the young academy graduates that have gone there, and here's another one getting a start.
It's what United are always about, giving opportunities to young players to come through. great opportunity for him. You know what I mean? First game in the Europa League as well, you know, European game as well. It's often the case when players have made their debut, the young players coming through, isn't it? During your era.
Yeah, yeah.
It was during you know, League Cup games or something, but certainly fantastic for them.
Yeah. Senior debut against Rochdale last week, and now a European debut for him. And this is very much the modus operandi here, the way Ollie is going about things, isn't he? He's going, you are the kids, you are the future, get on with it now.
Yeah, it's something he talked about as soon as he came into the club, about giving youth his chance and following in the history of the club, and he's doing that. Gomez is playing, Bradley's he's got to start again there. So yeah, I mean it's terrific to see the young players in action in what will be quite a hostile atmosphere, I would suggest, tonight. So it'll be, you know, he'll be looking to see how the players handle that.
David De Gea getting the #1 shirt as well. Is that a bit of a surprise?
That is a surprise. When you've made 8 changes and De Gea isn't one, you just wonder what's the reason behind that. Yeah, there's a point behind that. You know.
You don't know. But I mean, it is unusual to.
Sure, and that's especially bearing in mind that Romero had 4 years playing actually for AZ Alkmaar as well, and played under Louis van Gaal when they won the title. So
I didn't see. Is he on the bench? Is Romero on the bench?
He's on the bench. He's on the bench. Just take one more look at the team, at the starting lineup, shall we? And another name that jumps out at you is young Greenwood at the front there. His 18th birthday earlier this week, and he showed sensational finishing qualities already.
Yeah, I mean we've seen him in the younger sides, haven't we? The reserves, under 23s, under 19s, and I've never seen a kid so confident with both feet. Can finish left or right, can take penalties with his left or right. He's got a good physique on him as well. He can, you know, I mean, he's 6 foot odd.
Yeah.
He scored 2 fantastic goals already in the first team. So that confidence that we talk about will be flowing through his veins right now, and he'd be eager to go on and enhance his reputation.
It's been quite interesting for me coming up here talking about Mason Greenwood and seeing what he was doing in the young to the under 18s and things like that. And the club was very keep him under. Don't say too much about him. Don't say too much. Now that has gone. Here he is starting up front in the Europa League game.
You try to keep it down low key on players to help them come through, but what happens is you get these injuries, you get players being, you know, rested or whatever, and this is a big game. This isn't like a Rochdale game, you know what I mean, whereby you think you can throw people in.
Yeah.
This is a big game that I think Ollie would think that you'll have to win this game.
Here's the one against Astana that got us the points in the opening game, and it's the technique, shifting the ball from one foot to another that really jumped out at me from that goal.
Because as a defender, you generally have an idea which is his weaker foot. Do you know what I mean? So you try to push him on his weaker foot. With Mason, he can strike it as well with both, so it's always very difficult. He kind of squares you a little bit more, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, that's brilliant. When you have that ability to do that, for the defender, it's the worst thing, because you always think, put him on his left, put him on his left, put him on his right, put him on his right. But when you've got somebody like that, you don't know where to put him.
Peter Beardsley was very much like that. You were never quite sure which foot to put him on because he was so strong.
That's right, and I think I'm right in saying against Rochdale, he actually did it with the other foot, didn't he? He actually, shifted it. The coaching staff from the opposition will be looking at Mason Greenwood going, right, he's good on both feet, so you can't really show him outside or inside because he'll hurt you with both feet. So it's very difficult for defenders to defend against. And let's have a little word, shall we, now with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he's important competition this for Ole, and he's stressing that it's one that we want to go all the way in once again.
When you lift trophies, it's fantastic. For us, we joined this tournament remembering last time we were in it, we won it.
Manchester United are back in the UEFA Europa League. The most striking difference between the class of 2017 and this season's cohort is in the dugout. Jose Mourinho out. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in. Already cemented in United's history, the Norwegian will not be bowed by prior success and is looking to the past to build the club's future.
What is pressure? Pressure is what you put on yourself, as in do the right things, do them well, do them better next day, stay true to what you believe in, and that's what I'm doing. You have to keep the standards up at any football club, but at Man United it's even higher standards expected by everyone around. I feel the responsibility for the big club, and we're doing it the way I feel is the right way.
Experience in youngsters.
We have to build a culture, build a working ethic here that we believe is going to take the club forward in the long run.
Under Solskjaer, United have picked up where they left off in the Europa League with a victory over Astana on match day 1. Winning is part of the DNA at Old Trafford, but the faithful have also come to expect homegrown talent to be given a chance on the European stage, just as they were in Solskjaer's playing days at the club.
That has been part of Manchester United, that you get your chance. If it's in the league, in Europe, we've seen so many young players breaking through their performances in Europe, and I'm sure you'll see one or two of our youngsters in this tournament. We've got some exciting ones that we want to see in really competitive games, and we hope that some of our youngsters will take the chance now and show what they can do.
Solskjaer's quest for UEL glory takes his Red Devils to the Netherlands next, where they'll face Dutch opposition for the first time since that triumph over Ajax in 2017.
Alkmaar, we know the Dutch league, it's always good, and being on AstroTurf, going to be technical games, good football, and of course Europa League is a great chance to win a trophy, because English teams have done well in this tournament before. So we're going to go into every game in the group stage now with the mentality of winning, and then let's see where it takes us.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer very keen to win it again. We're just peeping into the dressing room at that tight, compact stadium as we go Dutch tonight, wearing black. And I'm going to be particularly interested in the footwear on this as well tonight. I mean, what can you remember? What would you say is the most important aspect of what you put on the end of your old legs tonight?
Yeah, you used to have Astro shoes or whatever they were called back in the day, but I think later on I kind of wore mouldies, I think, to try and play on them.
Do you remember you used to have almost the nails coming through the studs as well?
That might have been you, Kevin. That was back.
You got a grip.
I was never that kind of player.
But it's interesting on the contact side of it, isn't it? When you play on that, and I would think that the level of contact actually drops even below some of the games that we see these days.
I mean, I don't know what these 4G pitches do when you slide tackle, but you didn't want to slide tackle when you played on them pitches back in the day. So you tend to stand on your feet a little bit more than you do on a natural pitch.
To be honest with you, if you think today's game, you don't slide tackle either.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a lot. Well, no, you've got to be sure that you've got to catch it right.
So in many ways, it's a game that's going to be played. There won't be much tackling.
Yeah, no, we will wait and see what transpires. The other game in the group has in fact started, and we can show you exactly how things stand in United's group in the Europa League. And in that game, Partizan Belgrade are a goal up at Astana, and so as things stand, Partizan are a point clear of us. That game, and of course Astana, I think is a slightly better artificial surface, but that is another artificial surface that awaits us. And the next fixtures, though, are back-to-back matches with the Serbs' Partizan. And are you guys concerned about the scoring goals aspect here at the moment? Because it might just be one of those periods. I think we'll hear from Juan Mata later on saying that it's just these things happen. But are you concerned at a football club that traditionally scores loads and loads of goals, how few have been going in?
Well, I think Ollie's voiced his concerns, hasn't he? He tried to get another centre forward in before the transfer window, and we didn't quite manage to do that. We lost obviously Sanchez and Lukaku. You know, certainly Lukaku gives you a percentage of goals, So we've taken that out of the side. I understand why he did let him go, but I think at that point he was hoping to bring somebody else in, and he's not.
Should you have brought someone else in first before you let somebody go?
Well, quite possibly.
Yeah.
And he, I think he was trying to hang his hat on maybe a little bit of Martial, who I'm still not convinced can play that 9 role through the middle. I think both him and Rash look better players playing on the outside of a centre forward.
But I guess you flip it on its head. What we were saying, it then gives young players an instant opportunity that they might be kicking their heels, waiting to get a start.
That's true indeed. I can remember going back from my day. I remember Mark Hughes getting the opportunity, and that was because of an injury on a pre-season tour that he came in. And I think at the time Ron wasn't 100% sure about him.
Yeah.
But once you get an opportunity, you come in straight away. He just knocked in goals for fun, and that was him. What a career.
Well, let's have a word with Juan Mata, shall we? 31 years of age, twice a Europa League winner. Stuart spoke to him yesterday, and Juan, at 31, is pretty much one of the elder statesmen on the trip.
Juan, first of all, it's a pretty young squad here. Do you feel as though you've got almost a bit of a leadership role when you've got quite a lot of youngsters on an away European trip like this, somebody as experienced as you?
I feel as young as them. That's the squad we have. We have a lot of youngsters mixed with some more experienced players. Let's call ourselves that way. I think it's a polite way to call age. So yeah, I'm happy to be here with them, and I'm happy to help them, obviously on the pitch and also off the pitch.
Do you feel you can help them though, because obviously they've got not a great deal of experience and a night like this, an away European game, in a taste of the unknown in many ways?
I think they will learn for themselves for sure. They're good players, good kids, and this is very important for them to get experience. Obviously the ones that we have been here for longer, if they have any questions or any doubts, we can let them know our opinions, but I think they learn by themselves in the pitch.
You're quite impressed with the young lads. I mean, obviously Mason we've seen do really well so far, but quite a number of others who seem to be playing pretty well for the under-23 side this year.
Yeah, Mason obviously has scored for us, and everyone can see how special he is, but also Jimmy, I like very much. He's scoring every single game with the under-23s, even though he's a midfielder. I think he's a very good player. Angel, Chongi, they're here with us, talented players. So I'm very happy for them. I'm very happy for the academy. I think they're doing a good job. That is, being represented with a lot of players today in the squad, and that speaks also about the values of the club, which has always been with the academy at the core.
And this, even though obviously we want to be in the Champions League, but this is a very significant competition for you, isn't it? I mean, not that many players have won it for 2 different clubs.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to win it twice for different clubs, and we have to see it this way. It's one opportunity for us to go to the Champions League by winning this trophy, and that will be great, like we did two seasons ago. So, yeah, we have to take every opportunity as it comes, and tomorrow is a game. Hopefully we can win and we get through the group and think about winning this trophy later on, but every game for this club is a privilege, it's an opportunity, and I think the young players see it like that.
At the moment, obviously, we're struggling a bit in terms of scoring more than 1 goal in a game, but we've got a lot of attacking players, a lot of creative players. Is it something you sometimes scratch your head a little bit and wonder it's just one of those things?
You have these kind of periods where sometimes you score goals even without wanting, and in a very easy way, and sometimes you need to really work hard to score even 1 goal. And we are now in one of those moments, but I'm sure that whenever we score again, 1, 2, then we'll score in the next games more goals, because it's all about taking your chances, confidence, and obviously we have to create the chances. That's the important thing, and if we keep creating them, our strikers will score for sure.
Do you like the challenge of away games in Europe? I mean, this one is on a plastic pitch, quite difficult conditions, maybe hostile. I mean, do you enjoy the challenge of these sort of nights?
Yeah, I like it. I think that's one of the nice things of football, playing this kind of difficult atmospheres games, and we will see it here tomorrow. I think we will leave it in Belgrade too. So we need to be ready for that, and I personally enjoy to play in those kind of difficult conditions. Yeah.
Hope it goes well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. All the best.
Thanks.
Yep, very, very different conditions, and just taking a little look around the compact arena, 15,000 capacity, and that artificial pitch that has been the main topic of discussion beforehand as well for United. It's kicking off at 5 minutes to 6 UK time. It's just after 5:05 now, and having a little look, and it looking at those players there, Pally, it is pretty much preoccupying their minds. I mean, I might not be a mind reader, but you can see, just look at them.
They'll still be talking about it. I mean, they've had a good look at it last night and a good chat about it, and Ollie will have said his piece about it. They're trained on it, they've got a feel for it. So you shouldn't be too surprised how it's going to pan out tonight and how it's going to play. But yeah, it's something they're not used to. It's something that's different.
We shall see. It's a big learning process for them. What a contrast! 73,000 here on Monday night to see one of the great fixtures of the Premier League season. United against Arsenal didn't actually turn out that way. I think it was 29 minutes, chaps, till the first shot on goal from anyone. The worst in the Premier League this season. But here is a spectacular strike from Scott McTominay.
Yeah, I thought he played really well on the night, Scott, as well. I thought he had plenty of energy, drove at the game. As you say, the game didn't really come alive until about 5 minutes before half time, and I thought the second half was decent.
But see, what gets me is he takes the opportunity, the ball comes into him and he has a shot. Why isn't that done more often? There's so many times where you see players just outside the edge of the box, and this ball moves so much nowadays, and you just think he's got no hardly backlift in it. Look at the power that's got behind that as well. So you often think, why don't you do
buy
more
a ticket? Buy a ticket.
Correct, Jim. Absolutely.
Put your foot through it and have a go. And the equaliser, slightly contentious circumstances. Aubameyang scoring there, a linesman flag had fluttered, and it goes to VAR. Kev, you go first on this. Well, listen, VAR was brought in to get things right, and if you can't see it there, it just goes back before that. I'd just like to know, was it Ashley Young on the far side?
It's Harry Maguire.
It's Harry Maguire. This side, on this side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If he's, that's the whole idea for us to get decisions right. So from that point of view, you just got to go along with it and say that's what VAR is for. It worked for us. It worked for us sometimes. There it worked against us.
There you see it.
Yeah, there he is.
It's a correct decision.
Yeah, no, I mean, where I was sat on Monday night was exactly in line with that, and I was offside. That's offside. And when the goal went in, I went, that's offside. And I got caught out by, because Harry tries to step up and play him off, and he just, well, listen, we didn't. It was a shame for Tuanzebe because he'd had a good night really, and then the ball was just a little bit sloppy, and it's cost us the goal. But I agree with Kev. I mean, VAR, I think more often than not gets things right.
It's very early days for the whole system as well, isn't it? And I think that one of the complaints might be that once it's in the player's brain, once that flag goes up, you mentally switch off and start. People like me got played to the whistle, but you actually, and there might have been a little flicker of a switch off there.
But then that's no different from just a learning situation that's going to have to come into the game as regards the players. You know what I mean? It's new, so therefore the first few games that's happening, you don't know what's going on. After a while, I'd imagine by next year or whatever, you're used to what's happening, you're used to what goes on, and you'll expect maybe a situation where something is tight, there could be a VAR. You just continue on then. But it's good for the game because it makes things right.
But I think there was also talk about a whistle as well. They were trying to find out whether actually, because Ollie said he thought he heard the whistle, didn't he? So if the whistle goes, that's going to stop you in your tracks, isn't it? You know what I mean? Because I think you see Ashley put his hand up and claim the offside because he's seen the linesman put the flag up. So does he just stop it? I don't think he'd have got there, but it just stops that momentum going towards the ball and maybe helping put the lad off scoring a goal.
I've got good news for you. No VAR tonight. But when we get to the final, there will be VAR in the final. I just want to have a little look at AZ. It's 10 years since they last won the Eredivisie title. And they had a manager there called Louis van Gaal, who had a pretty good night when they won it. We got some lovely images of the ex-United man enjoying himself hugely here. And it's fair to say he's can be a very serious fella, but he has had his lighter moments, and Got the impression he had a decent night there.
You'll never forget him collapsing on the touchline when he was on about the lad dived. He's a character, whatever you say about him, and he's been successful, and I think he knows how to enjoy himself when he wins. Obviously,
correct.
He did,
and rightly so. Like you say, the first time they'd won it for so long. They haven't won it since.
And going back, I think 10 years since they last won it. But Dutch football is on the rise a little bit at the moment.
I'm just saying that to Pally. If you think about 2 years ago, or 2017, when we played Ajax in the Europa League final, look where Ajax have gone now. They're way far better team now than back then, and Dutch league has improved that bit more as well. The
national teams, they just whooped Germany, didn't they? Not so long back, wasn't it? Yeah. So you think, they didn't qualify for the last World Cup?
Yes.
And now all of a sudden there seems to be this little bit of renaissance with Dutch football. So.
And they've got to make it all from homegrown talent as well, because they don't have the money in their league. They don't have anything like the money that we have here to be able to go out and buy top class players. So they have to come through the system.
The academies, yeah.
Guys, we'll take a little breather here. Let's go back and rejoin Ben and Stuart.
Welcome back to the magnificently named Cars Jeans Stadium, which is, as I say, the home of Den Haag, but at the moment the home of AZ Alkmaar, whilst their stadium is sorted out, certainly the roof of it anyway. We're just sitting on the bench. This is going to be the Alkmaar bench tonight. I'll say it's in the colours of Den Haag, of green and yellow, with a bit of red for AZ at the top, just to make them feel a bit more like they're at home. But what a month ahead for Manchester United. 6 of the next 7 games away from home, starting here, as I say, on a plastic pitch. I mean, that's an unbelievable run, such a testing run for United.
It really is, and when you think that, right, in the midst of that, we play Liverpool at Old Trafford straight after the international break. So it really is a stern test, starting with tonight, and then obviously after the international break with going to Belgrade, and then the game Stamford Bridge in the Carabao Cup, sandwiched in between 2 league games at Norwich and Bournemouth. It's a testing time, and all the more reason why we get people making sure that they get through this game tonight, because with the injuries that we've already got, we're going to need the maximum strength that the squad has to offer to cope with all these games, especially when it involves travelling as well.
Yeah, that 10-day spell where United obviously are going to Belgrade, and they're going to Norwich, they're going to Chelsea, and the date of that has been obviously finalised today, and it's going to be on the Wednesday night, 30th of October, with a 8:05 kick-off, and then that all ends with Bournemouth early on the Saturday. I mean, that is testing for any squad, isn't it?
It certainly is, yeah. I mean, it's not just the travelling. It's the fact that United have got to find some form, and wherever you go these days in the Premier League, and Norwich, one of the teams that we're actually going to visit, have proved that by already beating the champions Manchester City, and quite convincingly so. So it is going to be very, very difficult. Bournemouth, another tight ground, who play some excellent football, where in the past we've come unstuck as well. So there's no easy games in the Premier League, but if Manchester United can get themselves up to the level that they showed when in the run of away games that they had when Ollie first arrived, then we wouldn't have anywhere near the problems that we might be facing at the moment.
But it all starts tonight against Alkmaar, who've had a really good start to the season, just a point behind the leaders in the Dutch league. That's Ajax. They've only lost 1 game. They hardly concede a goal, and really a lot of their squad are basically homegrown talent. A lot of youngsters, but just the odd experienced body as well, including 34-year-old Ron Vlaar. I remember him from Villa at centre-back. But apart from that, really, it's a pretty young, hungry side.
It is pretty much like the Ajax team that they played a good few years ago. We've got and Jordi Classy as well, who we know, Premier League experience with Southampton. But Ron Vlaar is not the player he was. He's 34 years old, and maybe he is somebody that we can try and expose.
OK, more from Ben to come, including the Manchester United travelling party over here, and to look after some of the sponsors and so on. It's the United legend Mickey Thomas. Now, I've been chatting to him, as you may well have read, you may well know. He's on their way back after getting throat cancer. It's been a really difficult time for him, and I was chatting to him a little bit earlier today about his recovery.
I'm still in recovery, obviously. It's going to take a long time for me to get over it. Day by day for me now, really. I'm not sure what tomorrow brings for me. But I'm happy the way my progress has been going. I mean, I've had a good result from the surgeon. Said I'm in good condition. I've just got to take my time, which I never do.
When you were told that it was a 50-50 risk, what was
that like for you? I collapsed. I don't mind admitting. I collapsed. I was in shock when he said, "Listen, you might not make this operation. Maybe you might survive it." He said, "Out of 100 people, 70% die, 30% live." So I just fell over on the floor. I woke up in bed, in a hospital bed with all wires over me, and that obviously they were concerned that. But I just couldn't take it. It just freaked me out.
But from that, we look at you today and you think, to us at least, you seem like the same, you know? So how, I mean...
Yeah, it's changed me though, you know, my outlook on life. I appreciate things more. And when you're a footballer, as you well know, everything's done for you. You don't have any problems, I'm away. But from the moment I walked into that hospital, it changed my life. Because I walked down that in Wrexham Hospital, I'm looking at other people, young kids dying of cancer and I'm in the same position as them. You think I might not be here tomorrow or the day after. So that was in my mind, and it was thinking about my children and my sister and my brother, and that, because they look up to me sort of thing, and like, you know what I mean? It's hard.
What was the reaction from people in football to your diagnosis?
Incredible, inside and outside football, you know. So Alex Ferguson phoning me, texting me and wishing me well and that, and telling me I'm strong enough and that I'll get over it and that. You know, everyone from Chelsea to Stoke, all the teams I played for, I'd letters off them, Ed Woodward and that. I'd letters off him and that, and say, we're all behind you and that. So that gives you a massive lift in that. But in the back of my mind, it's still thinking, am I going to be here tomorrow? It never goes away from you. It's horrific, it's scary.
Are you still enjoying your involvement? Watching the games, being involved, coming over here?
I love it, I love it, I do. It's coming to the games on home games as well, and meeting ex-players and that, it's great and that. And I go home after and I feel 10 feet tall. Yeah. Even though I'm a midget, of course, but I feel 10 feet tall, it's brilliant.
How would you fancy playing on that plastic pitch tonight?
Well, I went there last night. That should never be in modern day football. I mean, that is difficult for anyone. In the way the game's changed, and that. Unfortunately, it's not their ground. I mean, you can't give them, obviously, it's not their fault, obviously, but that should never happen because, we have a problem with injuries at the moment, and this game tonight might produce more because it's very, very difficult. The surface is not good. I was on it last night. It's horrific.
Yeah.
It's like the old one that I played at Queen's Park Rangers and Luton, similar to that. It's not a modernised, plastic pitch.
United are changing, obviously, young players coming in, some experienced players have left. It's a time of change. And what's your view of, overall, how things are?
I think, from the history of the club it's got and the crop of youngsters that came through at one time and that, I'm excited to see what's happened because, you have to be brave enough to do what Ollie's going to do and put youngsters into this team. And they're good enough. There's no question about that. I've seen enough of them of late. There's some bright youngsters coming through that system. So, you've got to give Ollie credit for that. And, and you have to persevere with them. Manchester United fans want results yesterday, not today. So a bad result is big news, isn't it? So Ollie's brave enough to keep on continuing to what he's going to do. And I think from the outside, don't listen, just what's happening inside. I think that's the way to go. And I'm excited for that. And we've seen, Greenwood for sure is a potentially going to be a top player.
And you as a proud Welshman, you must like the fact that Daniel James has started to...
Well, I think when you go to a club, and unfortunately for me, I don't, it's well documented, I couldn't handle Manchester United. I felt intimidated by it all. I wanted to get away as soon as I got here, and that, I played 110 games, whatever, and that, had some good games, that, but I was really, it wasn't obviously identified in my day about pressure. I felt that, in that dressing room. But Daniel James has got off to a perfect start. Scored 3 goals, and he's a very talented footballer, and he's an exciting prospect, isn't he? And the thing is, in a new team, you have to start well and get the crowd on your side. Now he's got the confidence with the crowd right behind him, and that's a big thing. Once the supporters take you, it's a lot more easier because it can be very difficult if you don't start well.
Yeah. Mickey, it's great to see you. We've all been worried about you, but it's great to see you looking so well and in good form, mate. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Not surprisingly, Mickey was pretty emotional there, talking about his journey, his recovery from throat cancer, and thankfully, fingers crossed, he's well again. It's been an incredibly difficult journey for him. You were there watching that interview, Ben. You couldn't fail but be moved.
No, you couldn't. Knowing Mickey as I have done for a number of years, when I first came back to the club, he was one of the faces that made me feel extremely welcome. He was brilliant to see, and listening to him talking about the plight that he's been through and the incredible adversity. It was extremely moving, fascinating. Obviously, the time that he was at the build up to it, with him feeling the way that he did for such a long time, and obviously hearing him describe the moments that he let's have it right, Stuart, that he didn't feel as though he was going to be facing people again. So a brilliant listen from a wonderful man who has been through a hell of a lot in the last few years.
And it's nice to hear that so many people have been in touch with him, but Sir Alex, of course, Edward Wood, lots of others at the club. Good to hear. It helped him.
Just shows you what sort of a character he was, not just at Manchester United, but I know that he said that there were players that obviously the staff at Wrexham, people associated with Chelsea, everywhere you've ever been, and anybody that knows Mickey Thomas would understand why he had so many letters of hope pouring in, and just wanting the recovery to happen. He's a very, very popular man, and people that know him know why.
All right, back to tonight then. We all know we've had our ups and downs this season, but I'll tell you what we want. We want goals, don't we? More than one.
It'd be a great place to start. They're obviously a tough nut to crack this season, and what a way for Manchester United to announce that they are back by scoring goals against a team that genuinely don't concede.
That is, it's going to be an issue tonight. The fact that they've only conceded 3 goals in the Dutch league this season. Good side, difficult to break down, but that's what we need to do in all of these games that are coming up.
Well, because
it makes life easier. If you get more than one goal, it makes life easier, doesn't it?
Of course it does, yeah. And at the moment, it looks like we've had a couple of 1-0 wins, but you always feel as though Manchester United at this moment in time need to score 2 or 3 to really guarantee, and 2 or 3 in succession to really give them a cushion and to give them the confidence to be able to pass and keep the ball and stop other teams from breaking forward. And I think it'll just take one game, Stuart, and what a brilliant time for it to start tonight on a pitch that isn't great against a team that don't concede.
Yep, let's hope we can do it and get a second victory in this competition. We've got it all for you tonight. We've got cars, we've got jeans, and we've got football as the Europa League continues.
Fred hits one from a long way out into the crossbar. Oh, stunning effort off the inside of the post. Fred does take it, and that's a really good save by Nenan Eric. Rocco, long way out, he's going to hit it anyway. Twisting, turning, back onto his right. Oh, brilliant. Mason Greenwood, his first goal for Manchester United, and hopefully the first of many.
Let us hope so. Mason Greenwood starting up front for the Reds, kicking off in exactly half an hour's time. Before we move on, Kev, you, I'm sure, would want to have both of you, but you go first. I say about Mickey there, and it's so good to see him up there and taking notice, and obviously getting great boost from being involved in football.
You know, when you talk about 50-50 chances and coming through, and the fact that when he heard it at first he collapsed and everything, you just feel so sorry for the guy. But to see him now and show the strength that he has to come through it all, it's fantastic for him. And he's the best wishes of everybody in football, not just only from United and the teams he played for, but everybody else. He was a great character. I remember him passionately well, and it's amazing he talks about his time at United in terms of not being able to handle United. And I remember that as well at the time, because prior to games, you'd look around the dressing room just before we went out and we'd go, well, where's Mickey gone? You know, and be in the boot room or somewhere like that, you know, kind of like almost afraid to go out on the pitch.
And he makes no bones about it. The place was just too big for him, I guess, wasn't it?
Yeah. It makes you wonder, because I think he was a terrific talent, Mickey. He was an entertainer one. He was charismatic, and you know, it surprised me when because I see him around the lounges on match day, so I was aware of the illness straight away, and we kind of followed his progress as he went through the treatment, and And it was a really tough a couple of months for him when he was surgery and everything that went along with it, and the chemotherapy. So seeing him coming out the end of it is fantastic, but it's hard to believe that he got so nervous, because he's such a bubbly character, isn't he? He likes to be the centre of attention a little bit and tell stories.
You know, the nerves more so are before the game. You know, that's when the players are so nervous. But once you're out there, it's fine. Once you get your first touch, you're into the game. And Mickey, for supporters watching it, you wouldn't have thought, oh crikey, he thinks this place is too big for me. You'd never think that, because the player gets on with it. But it was everything, the pressure that was on before you go out on the pitch. That's what he said he couldn't handle.
Well, it's just great to have Mickey Thomas back again, and it's great that he has recovered in the way he has, and of course we wish him all the best. And just have a little look, shall we, at one or two of the characters in the AZ Alkmaar team that we're going to be playing tonight. They've got a good old rugged centre-half, perhaps built from your images, a guy called Ron Vlaar, big centre-back, played at the Villa for a few years, 34 years of age now. He was a key man in the Netherlands squad, but I guess if you look at him and look at the pace opposite him, we might just fancy our chances against Mr. Vlaar, mightn't we?
Exactly. He looks like a bit like Yav, doesn't he? He looks a bit like Yav.
Hope he's not as good as Yav.
Yeah, well, yeah, but he looks like he's a no-nonsense defender, doesn't he? He looks as though he likes a challenger too.
Yeah, but that's what they've got there at the back, a lot of experience there with him. You know what I mean? So that'll help, because they've got, I think, a relatively young team.
Yeah.
So, you know, he'll give them a lot of stability.
But he's obviously been playing well, because they haven't conceded many goals this season.
They've got a lad called Idrissi at the front, who's a Moroccan international, 6 league goals already, a lot of pace, right-footed, and again, they've scored quite a few goals this season and not conceded many, which is the way to go, isn't it?
This could be a tough night, Jim. Is that what you're saying? No, listen, when you make so many changes, it's a gamble.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've said it many times, whether it be the League Cup or the Europa Cup or whatever you feel it is, or you know, even the FA Cup now, teams take gambles with and make many changes. Whenever you do that, you never get that rhythm in a team. Do you know what I mean? If you make 1 or 2, I think you've still got that sense of rhythm, and a side knows what it's doing.
Sure.
When you're making 8 changes, you're never quite sure what you're going to do.
Throw in the pitch.
And then throw in a pitch
throw
on top
in the
of
crowd
that.
of 15,000.
You're making me nervous. They're a very young side. We will see what transpires, of course. Let's have a look at the goal of the month competition, and we've gone right the way through for you. You can choose whatever you like, really. We're going to start with the under-18s.
And it's a terrific goal. Come on, and it's just what Manchester United needed. After a rocky opening period in this game, Mark Helm fires one in from distance.
As far as Rocco again, he picks out Lingard. Fred. Greenwood onto his left, twisting, turning back onto his right. Oh, brilliant. Mason Greenwood. His first goal for Manchester United, and hopefully the first of many. 17, world at his feet. Greenwood makes it 1-0.
Horrible angle shoot. You think to yourself, not really the good angle to shoot from. He's obviously got a better view than we have here.
Traore does well. Driving run, has a go. Oh, what a strike! That is the goal of the night. An absolute beauty. Alio Traore with an absolute screamer. Norrington Davis. Dooley. But short. In goes Brandon Williams. Good control. Nice ball in field to Pereira. Greenwood onto his left. Greenwood! Not a problem for Mason Greenwood, whatever the competition, he scores. Mason Greenwood from his right foot to his left, drilled it home, and Rochdale's brave resistance ends in the final quarter of the game. United 1-up.
Give it away again to Sixworth this time. Will it open up for her? It's James! Brilliantly done! Lauren James! And historic
Super League goal for Manchester United. And a day before her 18th birthday, it's the teenage sensation who provides the breakthrough.
It'll be Mark Helm for United. It's fantastic. Brilliant finish from Mark Helm into the top corner, and Manchester United hit the front here.
Cross it comes. Hands it away. Liverpool is back then. And a counter-attack again. Pereira steaming. Look at the Red Army coming forward from the back. Great run through James. James pulls it across. Oh, Rashford was coming in.
Little deflection, Stuart took it away from him.
McTominay. McTominay! Oh, what a goal! What a goal! He will never hit a better shot than that for Manchester United. Top corner against Arsenal, last minute of the first half. Oh, it's a stunner. What a move. What a goal for 1-0.
What a bit of excitement, Stuart. Absolutely fantastic. You didn't have done it well, didn't you? The break was on here again. Great strike this.
Cracker from Scott McTominay. Vote on the app. The competition closes on Monday. Mr. McTominay has to be the favourite, in my humble opinion, on that. If you're just joining us, welcome to MUTV. Welcome to Match Day. Just over 20 minutes to go to kick off in Holland. And let me just remind you of the United lineup, making lots of changes once again. He made 8 changes. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for the last Europa League game, and he's now made he's made this about the same again. I think it was 9 last time, 8 this time. Kev, just have a look at the team and run through it for us, if you could, for our new viewers who might be just joining us.
Well, obviously De Gea in goal, which is surprising when you made 8 changes. We were wondering why Romero hasn't come in, but the experience we have was fantastic for the back four. And then obviously on the left there we've got Williams, making I think his second game for United, which is brilliant for him. And then a little bit of experience then with Rocco and Lindelof. And Dowlett then in the right back position. He will look to get forward as much as possible. I think his strength is getting forward. He's shown that before in previous games. And then in midfield, a lot of experience there with Matic coming back. He hasn't played that many games this season. And Fred obviously beside him, who, this surface just might suit somebody like Fred, because he does like the ball on the ground and he's got good feet about him. And then we've got experience of Mata in front, which will certainly help the 3 young players around them. You know what I mean? Up there with obviously James, who's had a great season so far, young lad, kid Gomez, and of course Greenwood, who we know all about from the goals he scored.
What are your overall thoughts about the lineup and about the changes once again?
I think, I maybe wasn't expecting 8 changes. I was expecting changes, maybe 4 or 5, but I mean, as I said earlier on, I think it is always a little bit of a gamble when you make so many. But this is what Ollie spoke about. He spoke about giving youngsters the chance, and he's given Williams his second game. Gomez is playing again. And James is still young, and he's been exciting. That pace, I think, is going to threaten any defence, because he can blow anybody away when he gets going. So there's pace in the team again with Greenwood as well. But it's a difficult surface. I just worry about the rhythm that the team can find, because they've not played together as an 11. It is a huge gamble.
But if you think about it on that basis, there's 8 changes. But if you look at it, there's only really 3 young players really coming into the team.
Yes.
There's Williams at left back, there's Greenwood up front, and of course Gomez. Well. So the rest are all quite experienced. Well, Daniel James, but he's been almost a first-team regular this season.
But how many times has that side played together in his 11?
Well, they probably never have.
It's never, and it happens too often. Listen, sometimes it just does work. You have got talented players and clever players, and clever players can make things happen. But I just think sometimes you you know what I mean, the partnerships at the back, the partnerships in the mid. How many times have Matic and Fred played together? Do you know what I mean? It can be a little bit disjointed at times. Hopefully not. Hopefully you get the result. If we win this game tonight, it really sets us up for the rest of the group stages.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, talking of partnerships, remember Andy Cole and Dwight York, one of the greatest striking partnerships we've ever had at this football club. Andy Cole is out there in Holland, and you know what? Like everybody else, he's wondering about that pitch.
I think when you're at this level, I don't think artificial pitches should be played on anyway. So I'm disappointed. Obviously, be watching as a fan. You know, no doubt the players will be as well.
What sort of impact then does it have for a player? Can you not do your natural thing almost when maybe the ball bounces differently, or do you have to have it in your mind during the game?
You're always going to have it in your mind because you know it's not grass, and it's very firm out there as well. Just speaking to Kara as well, he said it seems like it's an old artificial pitch, not one of the new ones, so that makes it a little bit harder as well. So it is what it is now. We've got to accept it and hopefully get a good win tomorrow night.
Goals are something that is in discussion at the moment. Apart from the first game of the season, we're struggling to get beyond one, despite obviously having attacking talent and some creative players. We're struggling to get the second goal. Is that almost become psychological?
I'm not sure about that. What I do know, it's a little bit of a concern. You know, because naturally, if you get a second goal, if you go a goal up, you know, you can go and try and kill the game off. You know, so it has been a little bit disappointing. But listen, the rest of the coaches, staff, and the team working very hard on trying to put it right.
Somebody who we've seen at the net is Mason Greenwood, who's just turned 18. You, as a fine striker, what do you make of his attributes?
Kid's got quality in abundance, to be fair to him. If he keeps working, keeps progressing, which no doubt he will do, he won't be too long before he's lined up in the first team on a regular basis.
Is that a thing you've got to be careful about? You know, you've got to hype him up too much, but you can see with your own eyes the ability he's got.
Yeah, you know, I think when you watch him as an ex-centre forward, you know, he's got two great feet. I mean, if you look at his mentality as well, he looks like he's got his head screwed on for a very young man, like you said, just turned 18. But so I've watched him in pre-season, watched him quite a few times on MUTV as well. You know, you realise he's got quality. So like I said, he won't be long. He won't be long.
Obviously, we all want to be in the Champions League, of course. That's what Manchester United is all about.
Definitely.
But it was great to win this competition a couple of years ago. Do you think we can do it again?
You're in it to win it. And that's where you got to look at it now. It's an opportunity of getting yourself back in the Champions League next season, guaranteed. If we can't get there due to our league position, so you got to go and try and win the competition. Players out here would like to win it, no doubt, because I mean a lot of them could be possibly the first thing to win for this football club.
What about the Thursday, Sunday grind? Is that something for a player? It's tricky.
It's hard work. I think mentally it's hard work as well, especially if you're used to playing Saturdays as well. But to know you're playing Thursday night, you know you're playing every other Sunday or whatever, it's very hard mentally. But it is what it is. You know, you've got to take it on the chin and do as best as we can do in both competitions. Because unfortunately, in this competition, there's a hell of a lot of travelling as well, and travelling can be a bit sickening at times.
Yep, there are a few miles involved in the Europa League. Next Premier League game is at Steve Bruce's struggling Newcastle United, then the international break, and then it is Liverpool. How concerned are you about this away form? I think I'm right in saying I don't think we've won away from home since that fantastic night in the Parc des Princes when we beat PSG. Long time ago.
It is a concern, and you know, Ollie spoke about that again. And it's something we've got to address. It's a different mentality when you go away from home. You go into somebody's patch, almost walking into their own house, and you've got to be mentally strong to cope with it. And unfortunately, we've not been able to get over the line. And I think we've had leads on several occasions and not been able to hold on to them. So something we've got to address.
Yeah, it is a problem. Even for the players themselves, at the back of their mind, they're thinking, "Crikey, you know, even if you go 1-0 up, you're hesitant. You know, can you see this? As you rightly say, Paddy, can you get it over the line? Yeah. Can you make sure you can hold out? Can you go on and kick on and make it 2 goals?" And the problem we have at the moment is getting goals.
I know it's a real frustration for Ollie is that get the one and the second one very, very rarely arrives, and that's probably a big reason why we haven't been doing it away from home.
Yeah, well, it's a big reason for at home. You know, I mean, look at the Arsenal game there on Monday. And, you know, we've gone 1-0 up, we're looking to kick on, and we don't do it, and the next thing, it's a 1-1 draw. But it is a problem. There's nothing worse than if you don't have goals in your team. You're struggling then, you're relying upon the defence then to be intact, to put pressure on them all the time as well. And this is an away game against a team that are scoring goals.
Sure, relying on your defence and relying on your goalkeeper, David De Gea, who will be leading the team out tonight in round about 10 minutes' time. Somewhat of a surprise, perhaps, that David De Gea and not Romero is starting, but when you've got one of the best goalkeepers, if not the best in the world, on your books, you might as well give him a game, plastic, but you're not.
Yeah, well, I don't think goalkeepers actually like these, because a lot of diving and it's bad, it's harsh on the joints, and we've seen Romero play in most, you know, the League Cup games, and the Europa League games. So I don't know what the reason is behind it tonight. I don't know whether Romero was carrying some kind of knock or whatever, but listen, he's decided to go with David De Gea.
That could be
and
it,
he looks back to his best.
Romero could have said, listen, I hate this.
I don't fancy it.
I don't fancy it. Please don't put me out there, you know. Whereas David would just say, listen, of course I'd play, no problem. Because it doesn't make sense.
Well, it was interesting that we heard from Mickey Thomas saying how hard he found it to settle here. That certainly does not apply to his fellow Welshman, Mr. Dan James.
First of all, Dan, some positives to take from the draw against Arsenal the other night.
Yeah, I think we played some great football in the game. You say obviously we scored that goal first half. I think from now, I think everyone knows that we need to, do you know what I mean, capitalise on the goal and get 2 or 3 goals to go and win the game.
In terms of, we saw what the goal meant to everyone, the way everyone huddled in the celebrations. That showed a team spirit amongst the ranks at the moment.
Yeah, as you see, I think when we score, we're all together. When we concede, we're all together, and it's so important. We've got a great group here, and do you know what I mean, team spirit is a massive part in it.
And is it a case, like Ollie said, about just getting that second goal and just going on and getting further ahead? Because we haven't been able to do that in recent weeks.
Yeah, I think so. I think as you've seen Leicester game, we won 1-0, but we were under at the end. I think that just takes a little bit of pressure if we can go and score 2 or 3, just like we did the Chelsea game at the start of the season. You know what I mean, we won 4-0 there, we wouldn't get 2, and that, do you know what I mean, that helps us going to get 3 or 4. So I think getting that second goal is so important for us going forward.
And we have a chance to do that. The games are coming quite thick and fast. I know, what do you think of the Monday, Thursday? It's a quick turnaround, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, do you know what I mean, it's going to be tough, but that's something that we've, do you know what I mean, we've prepared for. Pre-season's really helped us with that. The weeks where we've had Saturdays, we've really been working hard in the week so we can prepare for games like this.
And of course, this trip to Holland, not actually at their home stadium, AZ, and a plastic pitch. Is that something you've played on before?
Yeah, I think all the boys have played growing up. It's going to be obviously different test. Obviously, playing abroad as well is always hard. It's going to be different to playing in the Premier League, and it's one that we're looking forward to and we'll be ready for.
How different is it playing on a synthetic surface to playing on natural grass?
I think it's similar, really. Obviously, it's a bit harder than normal grass, but I think the ball moves the same on it. That's something that do you know what I mean, that the boys know, but we can't do anything about it, and it's not something that that's gonna let us get to our heads. So.
And you missed a game against Astana, so it could be a first taste of European football for you here.
Yeah, obviously, if selected, yeah, obviously be my first game in Europe, and obviously it's one that I'm looking forward to. It's somewhere I've always wanted to play.
Is that part of your education? Do you think another step playing in European football?
Yeah, as I said before, it's different than, obviously I got my taste in the Premier League, but playing in Europe is always different. Astana come to us and people maybe wrote them off before they played, but they gave us a good game. I think you can never write these teams off. They wouldn't be in this competition if, do you know what I mean, if they weren't very good. So no, I think every game we play and in Europe we've got to be ready for and prepare right.
Is it important we got that win in that first game being a home match, because obviously we've got the away games coming up as well now?
Yeah, I think it's important to get off to a good start. This is another one where we have to go and win. I think it just takes the pressure off us really to go and, do you know what I mean, with obviously people expecting us to go through in this group, and to get them 2 early wins would be great.
We have got a lot of away games coming up. I think it sits out the net 7 and the home one's against Liverpool. It is a hard spell for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a hard spell, but it's always a hard spell really in playing these, Thursday, Sunday games. Obviously after the international break, we've got Liverpool at home. Obviously the boys are looking forward to that one, but we've got to concentrate on the game Thursday, Newcastle away on Sunday, so they're the ones that we're going to prepare for, and we'll be ready.
Is there an appreciation we have to get better on the road? It's been some time since we won away from home. I think Paris was our last one.
Yeah, it's important to win, to jump and get results at home, but obviously our away form hasn't been the best, and that's something we need to improve on. And as I said, Thursday is obviously it's a great game to get a win in, and then Sunday is going to be another tough game in the Premier League, and that's going to be one we can capitalise on.
Debut then for Dan James, talking there to Adam Marshall. I mean, what an impact this young fellow has made. At this stage, he has to be value for money, the signing of the season, doesn't he?
Absolutely fantastic, and you feel it around the ground when he gets the ball and he's got space to run into. People kind of take that breath and go, what's going to happen next? Because he's electric, and he gets one-on-one with you, and he's going to burn past you. And he scored 2 fantastic goals as well to boot. So he's got to be really delighted with his start to Manchester United life.
Good, mature interview there already. It just seems to have taken to this place as though it's his second home.
Yeah, he's obviously had good Welsh upbringing then as well, no doubt about that. But no, what Paddy said is so true. You look at him and he gets the one-on-one. What will happen now is, I think you'll see teams thinking, you've got to double up on this guy, and that shows you the respect that he's going to be put into as regards, how he's playing.
And in terms of tonight, we're counting down to kick-off. We're going to be going over to The Hague very, very shortly. What are your overall impressions? We've been sitting here chatting for around about an hour. What are your overall impressions building up to this one?
Yeah, I think it's a very difficult one. I mean, as I said earlier on, we've got good players playing out there tonight. We've got some exciting talent out there. It's how it all gels together. Whether they find that team ethic that you're looking for, and that, that togetherness. You're concerned. You're concerned. I'm always concerned when you make so many changes. It's bound to happen. You see it happens. Rochdale, we made changes, and it was a tough night. I don't expect this to be an easy night at all. I think it's going to be a tough night, but I think with the team, with the players that we've got, we can still win the game.
If we're talking about Rochdale being a tough night, which is I shouldn't even compare to what we've got on tonight. I think this is going to be very difficult, because I think it's the surface. We talked about that enough. This team is playing really well at the moment. They're up for it. They're playing Manchester United. The crowd behind them and everything. A lot of young lads in there. It's a tough ask tonight.
A tough ask on an artificial surface as well. The other match in the group has finished, and we can tell you how it went. Partizan Belgrade winning 2-1 in Astana, and that puts them, as things stand, a point, Partizan Belgrade, above United. Okay, guys, we will be returning at half-time. Thank you very much indeed for your company. Big Mac, thank you very much indeed for joining us. At least you've been sharp. At least you've been sharp for an hour, haven't you? Andy Ritchie and Chris Parrott will be your radio commentators here on MUTV. We're going to go to Stuart over there in The Hague. First time we've ever played AZ Alkmaar. Let's hope we have a night to remember.
Teasing ball towards Dwight York, into Andy Cole, let it run, Paul's goal!
Flicked on this! To Beckham, to Andy Cole, that's number 2!
Beckham's corner, Sheringham!
Giggs, who's going to say Giggs? Hat-trick for Cole!
It's Dwight York with a chance to bury Eindhoven here. York! Yes!
Well, match day 2 in the Europa League brings United to the City of Justice, The Hague, the temporary home of AZ Alkmaar. Whilst their own stadium roof is being repaired, they've had to decamp 50 miles to play United for the first time ever. Only 950 United fans have been allowed in here. There would be many, many more making the short journey across from Manchester. And it's a shame there aren't many more in here, Ben, because this 15,000 stadium is nowhere near full.
No, there's plenty of room for them, that's for sure. It seems a bit of a shame because with it being, you know, such a short trip, I'm pretty sure that they'd love to go away, these travelling fans, and there would have been a whole lot more of them. And we know that AZ Alkmaar are playing a good deal of kilometres further away from where they're normally used to, but I think we expected with Manchester United in town, current form or not, that it was going to be busier than this.
Here come the teams. David De Gea, the captain for United. Koop Miners leading out Alkmaar. You've got to go down a lot of steps to get onto the plastic pitch. It's the first time we've spoken about it. I think we might speak about it a couple more times over the course of the next 90 minutes. I know it did concern United at training yesterday, but I suppose you get to a point, Ben, where you just got to put it out your mind.
Yeah, forget about it. Nothing's going to change now. We know that when it was first seen by the manager and his players, that they weren't altogether happy with it. I'm not altogether happy with plastic pitches in general, although I can see why they do serve a purpose, especially for countries that have adverse weather at this time of the year. Holland's not one of them, and I'm really, really surprised that the condition is so bad. But forget it, the game's upon us. We have to concentrate on winning that.
Experienced Lithuanian official, Gediminas Mazaika, who's in charge of proceedings tonight. Remember, any of those United players who've got any slight injuries, not included, not involved on this plastic pitch. But how will 19-year-old Brandon Williams be feeling in the tunnel as the great Louis van Gaal makes his way just to our right into the director's box? The man who won the league title here a decade ago with Alkmaar, an amazing achievement, and then of course had a couple of seasons at Manchester United winning the FA Cup, and always good to see the great man looking so well.
Yeah. He is a tremendous character, obviously well loved in these parts because of what he managed to achieve with this club that United face tonight, and somebody that you're itching to catch up with, Stuart, as well.
I do want to go speak to you. United wearing black tonight then. 8 changes to Gea, James and Lindelof, the survivors, but well, the likes of Mason Greenwood leading the line, and Brandon Williams and Angel Gomez, and of course Dan James as well. And you have to say some real youthful exuberance about this United lineup.
Yeah, there is. I completely understand with the game on Sunday why Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has chosen to play the team that he has, but what a fantastic opportunity for Angel, for Brandon Williams on his first proper start, and for Mason to see if he can add to that tally of goals he's already got so far.
Alkmaar flying, 1 defeat in 15 in all competitions. Young, homegrown side, but also the gnarled veteran, 34-year-old centre-back Ron Vlaar. Ron Vlaar at 34 against Mason Greenwood at 18. That's going to be interesting tonight. We're looking forward to it. Match day 2 in the Europa League, and we're going to join our radio commentary team for the first 45 minutes. The former United striker Andy Ritchie is with Chris Parrott.
Game 2 of United's Europa League adventure, and for the first time ever, Manchester United step out in The Hague, the temporary home of AZ Alkmaar, and on paper at least, perhaps the Reds' toughest assignment in Group L. AZ sit 3rd in Holland, only behind PSV and Ajax. They score a lot of goals, and so far this season, they've very rarely conceded. The tight Carlsgene Stadium is boisterous on a chilly October evening right by the North Sea. Can Manchester United make it 2 wins out of 2 to start this season's European campaign? Andy Ritchie alongside myself. I promise this will be the last question about the pitch, but you are someone who played on one in your time at Oldham. How's it different to playing on grass?
Well, the one I played on was totally different to this one, I'm afraid to say. So, I mean, I have experienced 3G and 4G pitches, obviously. It is different. These are a lot more like normal grass, so that it's not the bounce is a little bit different. The ball maybe will deviate a little bit. You maybe can't move the ball as quickly as you would like on grass. But considering this is a new pitch to Alkmaar as well, really.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any real advantage for them. You've just got to get on with it. You play it you know, whatever surface you have to play on. They've played on worse pitches than this, which are grass pitches, over the last couple of seasons. I can't just remember where we were playing.
Rostov, perhaps.
Exactly, and it was, I mean, that was more of an injury worry than this would be. So at least you're going to get a bit of a uniform role on it. Yes, it is different. It's never the same as playing on grass, but it's the same for both teams.
Yeah, RZ playing here because a roof collapsed in their stadium very dramatically. Fortunately, a game wasn't going on, and they're probably not going to be able to play in Alkmaar until December. Team news: United made 9 changes for the Astana game from the previous Premier League match. 8 tonight from Arsenal, 72 hours ago. Only 72 hours ago. The 3 who remain: David De Gea, who is captain, Victor Lindelof and Daniel James. A European debut for him, a left-back, a full debut for young Brandon Williams. What a night for him. So the United 11, De Gea in goal, back 4, Dalot, Lindelof, Rojo and Williams. Fred and Matic, the holding midfielders, and then 3 in front of them, Mata, Gomez and James, behind Mason Greenwood, who turned 18 on Tuesday. RZ, 3 changes from their weekend win in Holland over Heracles. Right back Jonas Svensson suspended. He got a red in Belgrade 2 weeks ago. Former Aston Villa defender Ron Vlaar returns at centre-back. And exciting forward Calvin Stengs is also into the team. United get us underway, kicking from